Estey was known in the USA and worldwide, mainly for its free reed organs. Estey built over 500,000 free reed organs in Brattleboro, Vermont, USA, between 1846 and 1960. A free reed organ produces sound by blowing air onto the free reeds using bellows. Pipes, mounted on top of a free reed organ, are not playable, serve only an aesthetic purpose, which can lead to confusion. Not many people know, Estey also built pianos. The Estey Piano Company was founded in 1885 in the Bronx, New York. In this factory, in New York, Estey built the grand and upright piano. Estey Piano Factory, New York. Estey Free Reed Organ Factory, Brattleboro, Vermont. The American piano industry became independent of European imports in the 1850s. New York City became one of the main center of piano manufacturing in the USA during the 1850s. Many piano manufacturers were based in Manhattan, New York. In the USA, at that time, it was mainly square pianos that were being built. The upright piano had already seen major developments, but was not yet being mass-produced in the 1850s. In the 1870s, manufacturing techniques for the upright piano were improved, and demand increased rapidly. The upright piano became the standard instrument for the middle class, and replaced the square piano in the USA. The more complex piano variants, like the piano forte, have also been improved, and became the grand pianos. Free reed organ builders, such as Mason and Hamlin, followed the trend and added pianos to their range in 1883. Estey also wanted to be part of the booming piano industry. As Estey had never designed or built a piano himself, the company formed a partnership with a piano maker from New York. In 1885, Jacob Estey partnered with Simpson and Company of New York. The Estey Piano Company was founded. Simpson and Company was founded in 1869 in New York. But the origins of Simpson and Company can be traced back to 1854 in New York. George Charles Manor founded the Arion Piano Forte Company, where John B. Simpson worked in 1869. In 1869, John B. Simpson founded Simpson and Company and took over the Arion Piano Forte Company in 1870. Then Simpson and Company manufactured pianos under the names Simpson and Company and Arion. There was also a limited piano edition, called the Model Piano. In the 1880s, Robert Pradau joined the company as a partner. The limited Model Piano series was then discontinued. And in 1885, Simpson and Pradau became the Estey Piano Company. The Arion piano brand was then taken over by J.P. Hale. Stefan Brambach, one of the best piano tuners in New York, joined the new Estey Piano Company as superintendent. John B. Simpson and Robert Pradau, together with members of the Estey family, ran the new Estey Piano Company in the Bronx, in New York. All these people are featured in this collage. This is why the founding date of the Estey Piano Company of New York is given as 1869, which was the founding year of Simpson and Company. In 1886, Estey built a new factory in New York City, in the Bronx, in the annexed district of Mott Haven. The new factory was designed by the architectural firm of A.B. Ogden and Son. The Bronx, 1639. The new Estey Piano Factory was built near the former Jonas Bronk house. Jonas Bronk was the first European settler in the Bronx in 1639. Jonas Bronk's land was previously territory of the Siwanoy and Wecquaesgeek Native Americans. The Bronx is named after Jonas Bronk. Bronx land, visiting the Bronx. The Bronx was called Renanchqua by the native Siwanoy band of Lenape. Other Native Americans knew the Bronx as Keskskek. Manhattan. In 1874, the Bronx was incorporated into New York City. The Bronx was still rarely settled. This is roughly the spot where Jonas Bronk's first residence was located in 1638. Now the area was quickly connected to Manhattan by new bridges across the Harlem River. The Estey Piano Factory was built in 1886 at the corner of 134th Street and Lincoln Avenue. The Estey Clock Tower could already be seen from the new bridges and from the Harlem River. The southern part of the Bronx, Mott Haven, now offered new transportation and shipping opportunities by both water and land. The Estey Clock Tower became a new symbol of the Mott Haven district. This advertising card should have been painted from this point of view, unless it is an idealized depiction. The painting shows the factory between 1886 and 1889. This map from 1891 shows the Estey Piano Factory with a new extension. Due to the high demand for pianos, the Estey Piano Factory added an extension in 1890. John B. Snook and Sons designed a 5-story addition that continued the factory's front facade and nearly doubled the factory's floor space. The Springfield Weekly of 1892 reported that this Estey factory produced between 200 and 250 pianos per month. In 1895, a 1-story addition was built on Lincoln Avenue by Hewlett S. Baker. The new addition was used for woodworking. A wood dry room has also been set up in the courtyard. The Estey factory expansion took place during the golden age of piano making, mainly upright pianos. Estey achieved great success with his free reed organ factory in Brattleboro, Vermont, and after he opened a piano factory in the Bronx, New York, other piano makers followed him to this place. In 1891, there were still many free plots of land available in the South Bronx. On the Sanborn map from 1908, I was able to find already 14 new piano factories just in the area around the Estey factory. In the 1897 book, The Great North Side, or Borough of the Bronx, New York, there are photos showing some of this new piano factories that were built in the Bronx. Piano manufacturing in the Bronx dates back to before its incorporation into New York City in 1874. Even before Estey built his factory in Mott Haven in 1885. In 1908, there were about 24 piano factories in the South Bronx, south of 149th Street. By 1913, there were 40 piano factories and 14 additional manufacturers of piano components in the Bronx. The Estey Piano Factory, with the single-story extension, from 1895. Piano manufacturing became a major economic factor in the Bronx and led, among other factors, to a massive increase of the Bronx's population. Piano making boomed, and New York, primarily Manhattan, the Bronx, and Queens, became a center of piano manufacturing, where there were more than 100 piano makers at the end of the 19th century. The golden age of the upright and grand piano also marked the end of the square piano in the USA. In an attempt to quickly offload the now unprofitable square pianos, which were still taking up a large amount of storage space, a symbolic burning of square pianos was staged as part of a promotional campaign. In 1909, the Estey Piano Factory in the Bronx was extended by 2 further stories, built by S. Gifford Slocum. The facade look was kept the same. In 1917, George B. Gittins acquired the majority stake in the Estey Piano Company. I have been unable to find out whether former President John B. Simpson sold his shares, was experiencing financial difficulties, or had passed away in 1917. Gittins reduced the product range and focused on the mass production of a few standard piano models. In 1919, architect George F. Hoag was commissioned to add 2 more stories for the factory. The new 2-story structure was designed with functionality and features large windows that let in natural light. It differs from the main facade. Estey Piano Factory, New York, Bronx, 1919. Also in 1919, Gittins acquired M. Welte and Sons Incorporated. M. Welte and Sons was a German manufacturer of self-playing musical instruments that marketed its Mignon technology in the USA. In 1912, M. Welte and Sons Incorporated built a factory in Poughkeepsie, New York. Many American organ and piano makers produced instruments using the Welte Mignon technology under license. After the USA entered the war in 1917, Welte was confiscated, and the Welte factory in the USA was auctioned off in 1919. George W. Gittins bought Welte in 1919, sold the Welte factory in Poughkeepsie, and moved production to the Bronx in New York. Poughkeepsie is located about 100 kilometers north of New York City on the Hudson River. In 1922, the Estey Welte Corporation was founded, serving as an umbrella organization for several Gittins holdings, including the Estey Piano Company and the Welte Mignon Corporation. Since the end of the 19th century, new music playing machines have been appearing on the market, but they have not been able to significantly slow down the piano boom. Phonograph, graphophone, gramophone. But the development of radio receivers in the 1920s brought the piano boom to an abrupt end. Radio spread rapidly, machines were smaller and much cheaper than pianos, and music was now available around the clock and everywhere. Also, the self-playing pianos, with the Welte Mignon technology, could not stop the radio trend. The development of radio led to a collapse of the piano industry in the USA, which only a few manufacturers survived. The Estey Piano Company was also affected by the radio, and its leading company, the Estey Welte Corporation, attempted to switch to pipe organ production in 1925. However, Gittins left in 1928, and the corporation was bankruptcy in 1929. The organ building business was then sold to an investor. And the Estey Piano Company was sold to the Settergren Piano Company of Bluffton, Indiana. The Estey Piano Factory in New York has then been vacated. In 1935, Settergren was renamed the Estey Piano Company. The name Estey Piano remained. In 1948, Estey Spinets were advertised in Chicago. I found this Estey Spinet with the serial number 197,832 at Piano Place. Another Settergren Estey piano I found on Casa de Pianos. Year of manufacture 1962. The Estey Piano Company, then based in Bluffton, Indiana, was active until at least 1972. Production at the former Settergren factory probably ended in 1982, after a lightning strike or fire. Shortly before the fire in 1982, around 1978, the rights for Estey pianos were probably sold to a Jack Call. However, this is speculative. I cannot confirm this information, as I only have one source for it. At this point, the Estey piano trail goes cold. The former Settergren factory, in Bluffton, Indiana, where Estey pianos were last manufactured, was probably completely destroyed in the fire of 1982. But the Estey Piano Factory in the Bronx, New York, is still standing today. Google Maps, May 2026. Today known as the Clock Tower Building. Changed hands several times before finally being sold to Carnegie Management, who converted the building into artist studios with living quarters. Describe as the grande dame of the piano trade, not virgin, but altogether and proud. Estey Piano Factory, Bronx, New York, Evolution. 1886, 5-story factory, with clock tower, by A.B. Ogden and Son. 1890, 5-story addition, designed by John B. Snook and Sons. 1895, 1-story additions north, Hewlett S. Baker. 1909, north raised to 3 stories, by S. Gifford Slocum. 1919, additional 2 stories, by George F. Hoag. Appendix. This is the oldest surviving pianoforte, commercially built in America, dates from 1775, and was built by Behrent, who came to Philadelphia, USA, from London, England, in 1770. In contrast, a forte piano from 1810, made in Vienna, by Joseph Brodmann. The European forerunners of the square, grand, and upright piano. The European forerunners of the upright piano. The square pianos, which were popular in the United States in the 19th century, can easily be confused with free-reed organs. The Melodeon free-reed organ, very popular in the USA from 1846 to around 1970, was built in lyre style and piano style case. The Melodeon, piano style, can easily be mistaken for a square piano, visually. However, technically, or sound-wise, they are two fundamentally different instruments. Piano forte, in Brattleboro, Vermont, in the 19th century. Estey also sold pianos in Brattleboro, even before Estey built its piano factory, in New York, in 1886. But these were pianos from other manufacturers that Estey offered for sale or rent. Woodbury and Burdett's Music Shop, sold in Brattleboro, in 1844, pianofortes made by Stephen W. Marsh, of Boston, Massachusetts. Burdett was one of the co-founders of the Brattleboro free reed organ industry, and later, one of the leading employees at Estey. The forerunners of the Estey Organ Company have regularly offered in Brattleboro, next to the free reed organs, a repair and tuning service for pianoforte instruments. Even after Estey entered the free reed organ business, in 1852, pianofortes continued to be offered for sale and for rent. The pianofortes were selected by Professor B. F. Baker, of Boston, and sold, or rented, through Estey and Green. The storage rooms for pianos were expanded. In the 1860s, demand for free reed organs increased rapidly, and Jacob Estey built a new factory in Brattleboro to manufacture his cottage organ. It seems that Estey then stopped selling or renting pianos and concentrated on building free reed organs only. Between 1869 and 1872, another new Estey free reed organ factory was built in Brattleboro, Vermont. And in 1886, Estey began building pianos himself at the new factory in the Bronx, New York. In addition to the piano factory in New York, the Estey organ factory in Brattleboro, Vermont, has also survived to this day. How the largest free reed organ factory in the world worked will be explained in the next video of the Jacob Estey series. Statistics. I have found two other piano factories in New York that were very similar to the Estey Piano Factory. In 1886, the Zomer and Company Piano Factory was built in the Astoria district of Queens, with a construction history similar to that of the Estey Piano Factory. Around 1900, the Jacob Dahl Piano Factory was built in the Bronx, which was also very similar in shape, size and style to the Estey Piano Factory, but of which only parts remain today. As if there had been a blueprint for piano factories in New York.